if the Dogs don't get this fixed, their season might end in the Sugar Bowl. Now, I'm not talking about what we already know, okay? I'm not talking about the drops. I'm not talking about the slow starts offensively. I'm not talking about the poor tackling at times, although they tackled pretty well against the Longhorns. There's some stuff going on with this team that I think needs to be addressed because those aren't just the problems that we've seen. So I'm going to dig into it, right? Because there's still some stuff they really got to clean up over the next 2 weeks. And the coaching staff needs to tell their guys, hey, we've been not so great in this area, and this area. And the one that stands out to me is the ball control, the ball security, I might add. The Dogs are putting the ball on the ground. And if they keep doing it at the rate they have been the last 2 games, they could absolutely lose to Notre Dame or Indiana. They are putting the ball on the ground way too much. Against Texas, they fumbled 4 times. Now, I can remember 3 of them, right? You had the Carson Beck fumble at the end of the half on the play he got hurt on. And then later in the game, you had an Anthony Evans fumble where, thankfully for him and for every one of you watching this, ball bounced right back to him. Georgia got the break on the ball, bounced right up to him, and he recovered it, right? He gets credit for covering it, but dude's got to hold on to the football. And then later in that drive, Nate Frazier, the freshman, I know you love him. I love him too. He's fun to watch. He's exciting. I think he's going to have a very, very good career. Georgia, dude's got to hold on to the football. He lost a fumble, I think, on the 3-yard line, and Aaron Smith comes and saves him, falls on the ball. If Anthony Evans loses that fumble, I think Georgia loses. If Nate Frazier loses that fumble, I think Georgia loses because that drive ended up in a field goal, and those are 3 really important points, right? They went into overtime. They needed those 3 points, and both of those fumbles could have cost them. Now, the numbers say 4, and I can't remember the 4th one. I didn't do the research because that's not fun. I want to, come from the top of the brain, right off the top of the dome. So if you remember that 4th, let me know and maybe look like a big dummy in the comment section. Against Georgia Tech, they fumbled 3 times. They only lost 1. Dom Lovett was the one who couldn't hang on to the ball that time, and they lost that fumble. I think the other one was a muffed punt by Anthony Evans. I think Georgia was down 14 or 17 at the time, and I believe he muffed the punt, and I don't remember if he fell on it, someone else did, but they recovered it, if I'm remembering all this correctly. I got my ADD brain going here, but I believe one of those was an Anthony Evans fumble, and that guy's electric. He's a really good player, and he brings, track speed to Georgia's wide receiver room and in the return game. So I'm not calling for him to be benched or anything. I just think you got to hold on to the football. So that is something that is concerning, especially over the last 2 weeks. Got to hold on to the ball. And with Nate Frazier, listen, he's a young pup. He's a young pup. If you have a dog, you buy a little puppy, right? They're cute, they're exciting. They're going to turn into something great, something special. But occasionally, that little pup's going to pee on the floor or take a dump on the carpet, right? And that's Nate Frazier, doing the gator slash after the gator chomp, right? That's a puppy mistake. Fumbling the ball on the 3-yard line, not having it high and tight, right? That's a puppy mistake. Kid's growing, right? He's a hungry pup. He's young and hungry. He's youngry. So you got to feed him, and I get that. And he is exciting, and he is a good player, and he's running hard. He's doing everything he can. Got to hold on to the football. So, if you're a Georgia fan, you're hoping that if they put the ball on the ground again, that it continues to kind of bounce their way or someone else falls on it, right? Because those 2 fumbles could have been costing, could have lost them that game. So ball security is something they got to get more of a handle on. Right? Pun intended, right? Pun intended. I'm going to give myself that one. That was funny. Let's talk about red zone defense a little bit because they are 68th in the country in red zone defense. Not a number that is going to, that's not a number that's going to scare Indiana or Notre Dame, right? Got to get my words together, right? It is the weekend. Still got to work. But that's something that Georgia's been really, really good at. They've been elite at that the past 3 years. They've got to step it up in the red zone defense. Because I tell you what, Indiana, Notre Dame, they can run the football. Justice Ellison, Indiana's running back, he's having a decent year. About 148 carries, 811 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5.5 yards per rush. That's fine. That's halfway respectable. But Notre Dame, when they get into the red zone, They want to finish with touchdowns. I mean, they've got a quarterback, Riley Leonard, who can run the football. Jeremiah Love is one of the best running backs in college football. He's having a great year. So Georgia's got to tighten it up down in the red zone. They've got to tighten it up because, especially against Notre Dame, you got to hold that team to field goals. And when they get in the red zone, they're looking to score touchdowns. They're looking to get in the end zone, and they've got some quality players, especially at quarterback and running back, who can run the football. So Georgia's red zone defense really needs to step it up. They've got a few weeks to prepare, scheme something up differently. And I know they did a great job against Texas, right? They held them to field goals, kept them out of the end zone from the red zone, I believe. Texas's long touchdown came on that kind of long catch and run. So they skipped the red zone. But, whoever they play in the Sugar Bowl, when that team gets down into the red zone, it's going to happen at least once or twice, right? I mean, that's just football. Got to hold them to field goals. They're also 65th in the country on third down. Not a great number. They're completing just 41%. But let's dive into that real quick, though, because without Brett Thorson, they're going to have to go with their backup punter, who's very, very good, by the way. Drew Miller was the number one punter out of high school, committed to Georgia. That dude can boom it. But when you're in the playoffs and you've got a quarterback who can run the football in Gunnar Stockton, if I'm Georgia, I'm not punting if I'm crossing the 50. Because between the 50 and the 35, you're in 4-down territory. So if you cross the 50, you only need to get close to the 35-yard line before Peyton Woodring and his leg can boom it and get 3, right? So the only way I see Georgia punting, and again, it's not the regular season. This is the playoffs, baby. This is the playoffs. Win or go home. You got a national championship trophy just a couple rounds away if you win this. So it is win or die, win or go home. So if I'm Kirby, the only way I'm putting the football is if I get the ball way back in my own territory and there's nothing going on. We can't move the football, 3 and out type of situation. But if Georgia gets across the 50, I'm not putting for the rest of the season. You're in 4-down territory, those 15 yards, and then you're in field goal range. So they're going to have to clean it up a little bit on third down because I know they're good on fourth down. They're a really good fourth down team, but you don't want to get in that situation too often, right? They had a 4th and short in field goal range against Georgia Tech in that first quarter. Came up short, right? 4th and 1, 4th and 2, that's not guaranteed at all, especially if you're in field goal range. Take the points. There's way too much analytics into football. And there shouldn't be. I get percentages, but play the game. Take the points in the first quarter. You're going to need them when the fourth quarter rolls around. And I guarantee you, because both teams, Georgia and Georgia Tech, they both went for it on fourth down early in the game, I believe, and they both came up short. Fourth quarter rolls around, I bet both coaches thinking, man, I knew it was a little risky, but probably should have kicked that field goal. It was just the first quarter. Take the points. So we'll see. I do think Georgia needs to step it up and do a little bit better on third down so they're not putting themselves in such a bind. But they're going against 2 quality teams. Indiana's a good team. I don't know if they're a great team. And Notre Dame is playing a lot better. A little close against USC, and they kind of blew them out towards the end, made that game look a little worse than it really was. But on the road, that's a quality win. They can run the football. They play physical. They play well in the trenches, and they're both well-coached teams. So if you're Georgia, you can't be giving them the football. You can't put the ball on the ground. You've got to step it up, your red zone defense. And then on third down, got to be a little cleaner, right? Season is on the line. And this team can win a championship, but there's still little things they've got going on that could end their season if it doesn't go the right way. They still have to play really good football if they're going to be Indiana or Notre Dame. As we've seen, this team almost lost to Kentucky. They almost lost to Georgia Tech. I mean, nothing is going to be easy. I don't care who they play in the playoffs. I'm expecting a tight, close ball game and where turnovers could be a real issue. Speaking of turnovers, the 61st in turnover margin. It doesn't matter anymore because the regular season's over. It's game by game. Georgia needs to win the turnover battle week by week if they're going to have a better chance to win the game. And now that's obvious, right? But again, you look at the numbers, there's a lot to clean up. But the first thing that comes to my mind after the drops and after the slow starts that they have week after week after week is the ball security. Anthony Evans can't put the football on the ground. Nate Frazier, I love you, dog. You're my guy. You're my guy. Covered you in high school, man. I told everyone on this channel, this dude could be special. you're not going to be special if you keep putting the ball on the ground. And Georgia fans would look at him in a much different way if Arian Smith didn't save him and jump on that football, right? So Nate Frazier is going to be a really good player. Dom Lovett, got to hold on to the football, whether you're catching it or running with it. So, and Gunnar Stockton knows how to hold on to the football. That's for sure. But again, he's one big hit away from. I don't even want to go down that path. That's a topic for another quarterback type of deal. But got to hold on to the football. The receivers and the running backs got to hold on to it. If they don't, it can really bite them in the butt. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next website. I'm going to see you on the website and on the next video. How about that? Little double dose there. On the website, on the next video. You're going to see me. You're going to see this bad boy right here, whether you like it or not. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. This was an awful video. I really apologize. Next one will be better. I think. I hope. All right. Thanks.